Jim's having a power bowl and some rice, and he's going to talk about the first 2 discs of this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. And so, I didn't bring a poem out to read because I didn't feel like it.
Did you get much writing done today?
None.
You've been busy, so...
I just had that one poem to read that got cut off, and I don't feel like it.
So, you know, notice Pauline wasn't apologetic when she says...
No, we've been getting so much work done. So,
okay.
Whatever, you know.
So you saw a bit of this. Maybe we can get some of your...
Well,
reaction.
The first disc it's a 4-disc set, so we're going to talk about the first 2 discs. The first disc had roughly around 3 hours of material on it, so it had a lot more than the second. But the first one covered the 29th annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony from 2014, and so Peter Gabriel was one of the people inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and so was Cat Stevens, Linda Ronstadt, E Street Band, and Nirvana. And then in the 30th annual induction ceremony, which is disc 2, so that's from 2015, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Paul Butterfield Blues Band. What is touching me? There it is.
A spider?
A little ant.
They can be really annoying, especially when they're biting, but that guy was just...
No, he was scared. He was like, oh my gosh.
There we go, you were kind.
Yeah. Bill Withers, Green Day, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, Lou Reed, Ringo Starr. So there were a lot of people, but it just didn't take that long. So it was only 2 hours and 5 minutes long, this one. And my favorite of the first disc was Linda Ronstadt's. They had, like, Blue Bayou was nice with Emmylou Harris, Bonnie Raitt, Carrie Underwood, and Paul Schaefer and the Hall of Fame Orchestra.
Thank you, Paul Schaefer.
Very
God bless
great.
Paul Schaefer.
But my favorite of that was actually the one that came after. Like, I thought for sure, wow, that's so nice, Blue Bayou, you know, I thought that's going to be the best one, but no, it was You're No Good, Sheryl Crow. Wow, did she ever do a great job on that. So
she's a lot better than her hits would lead you to believe.
yeah,
She used to be a backup singer, if I'm not mistaken, for Michael Jackson.
that's some power she had.
And Michael Jackson was a OCD. You wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have chops.
So yeah, and the worst thing was, well, honestly, I don't think Nirvana should have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As much as I know, that was a very popular band at the time, but really, has it stood the test of time? And will it? I don't think so.
Green Day was better, and they weren't that good either. Oh.
So anyway, and the worst was, now what was that? Oh Lord. I guess that's the song,
Doing
All Apologies. Wow. She should apologize for that one. That was, she did a hatchet job of that. That was terrible.
It wasn't even a hack job.
It was horrible.
Came out dressed nicely.
Yeah.
Kind of like...
and she was trying to do the, like, mannerism and stuff, like grabbing the microphone right before, you know. But it was just all show and...
no go.
Yeah. It was terrible. Terrible.
Yeah. I was expecting so much better, because that song, it kind of works against Nirvana's tendencies. It sounds almost soothing, or it should. And the band was kind of doing the job. And then she starts vomiting up the lyrics.
Oh, it
Now there was
awful.
worse in terms of vomiting lyrics. Who is that woman who did? Emily Clark, was it? Remember the one? I didn't hear one. Oh, it was Kim Gordon. I
Okay.
couldn't make doing aneurysm.
Oh, yeah,
I couldn't make
didn't hear
out
any of the
one
lyrics.
word.
And even when she was just talking into the microphone afterwards,
I think I
couldn't
heard
make
thank
it
you or
out.
something
Really,
like that.
it
I don't
was.
know.
I don't know if she really knows how to use a microphone. It was horrible.
Or use her voice.
Yeah.
Like, you owe it to your audience to kind of communicate or something like that. You owe it to the microphone, you know? Jesus God. Sorry
But
about cussing.
anyway, James will probably talk a lot about Cat Stevens, but
I'm going to say a few things about him and his selection.
but yeah, in the second disc, I did like listening to Joan Jett singing Cherry Bomb in particular.
Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
bad. I don't know if she
But
belongs in the
she
Hall of
does
Fame.
not belong there.
I'm not sure.
I don't think so. She's lovely, and
She's amazingly
I mean,
well preserved. I don't think she's had an easy lifestyle.
anyway, um, anyway, Ringo Starr. I liked Paul McCartney's introduction, getting his speech, whatever, was nice. And
He said he induced him. He said,
oh, did he?
and then he said, inducted.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't actually like his performances that much, but I think everybody worked together to try. It was nice to see, the other people come on, like Beck and the other guys come on to work with him. So that was nice. It seemed like a kind of community thing performance, which was a nice way to end it off. Which actually, I think this 30th annual one, it started out great and it ended pretty great too. So I think I liked it better than the 29th annual one
much
for
better.
for the beginning
The,
and end.
the parts that you
'Cause
missed in the middle
Yeah,
were pretty good too.
because the end, the 29th annual one, ending with Nirvana, it was bad. It was so bad.
What a bring down.
Yep. And I actually like Nirvana okay, but
The people
they
they
weren't
had
my
do it.
favorite
Mhm.
back then. That's for sure. But
The
anyway,
people they had doing some.
yeah,
And
the singing just awful, just awful.
he wasn't a great singer, but you could kind of make out what he was saying.
Anyway, whatever. So go ahead and talk about it.
No?
I'm gonna eat some watermelon.
I think they ended up. The 29th annual thing was done in Brooklyn.
Oh,
See what the second one was.
weird.
Cleveland. The Hall of Fame is in Cleveland. So Ringo, I think they were feeling sensitive because Ringo, this is before he came in, I think. When he started off, he said something like, "Thank you, Cleveland." I don't know how many people from Cleveland could afford to be there. When it didn't look as though there were many cheap seats. But it's like, I think it was used in a TV show. The song was written, if I'm not mistaken, by Ian Hunter, former lead singer for Mott the Hoople. Cleveland rocks, Cleveland rocks, Cleveland rocks, Cleveland rocks. No, you rock, Cleveland. Don't get that wrong. But the place that should have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a place where Ike Turner came from, B.B. King came from. Elvis didn't come from there. He came from Tupelo, Mississippi. But the big town for Tupelo, Mississippi is a place called Memphis, Tennessee. out of state, not that far. My dad actually went down trying to get missionary money from Tupelo, of all places. And my dad belonged to the Church of Christ.
Boy,
So did
that's
my
some
mom.
juicy watermelon.
Went down to Tupelo. The airport he landed in was Memphis, closest big city. Understand, my dad was Church of Christ and very fundamentalist. The way I characterize it is more Baptist than the Baptist. And I think the preacher who was selected to deliver Elvis's sermon refused. That's how the story goes. And it was a Church of Christ preacher who gave the funeral elegy, as it were, funeral presentation. And that really is the way a Christian's supposed to be. I don't belong to that church anymore. I was raised in it. Gave it up when I was 17. But I'm telling you, if you're the preacher who delivered that sermon, you might make it into heaven, if there is such a thing, because that was the Christ-like thing to do. And I don't want to really talk about the preacher who refused to do this, if indeed that story is true, and not just apocryphal myth. Anyway, Brooklyn, New York. Well, Brooklyn rocks too. It's amazing the number of people who come from Brooklyn that have done rock and roll. Brooklyn and Queens. So, I don't know. I think they probably should move the presentation around from place to place. In the 60s. LA. Holy smokes. LA and area. Incredible. Beach Boys. People came from elsewhere. Eagles. Jackson Brown. I don't know if he came from that area originally. The Doors. They didn't come from there originally. Manzarek came from Chicago area. Jim Morrison was from everywhere. I think Florida more than any place. He's a son of a Navy guy. I don't know if he's an admiral. I gather his dad had a few problems. Most Army guys or military guys are going to have problems. Big trouble is sometimes they won't keep it to themselves. It's okay for people to have problems, but they should keep their problems to themselves. In other words, they should ask for help, but they shouldn't visit their problems on other people. So I started off with Peter Gabriel. Started off with Genesis. No, Phil Collins, a few others. Phil Collins was something of almost like a child prodigy on drums. I don't know how young he was when he was drafted into playing drums along with other people for George Harrison's triple album, All Things Must Pass. But that says something. So that's maybe before Genesis existed. Anyway, Peter Gabriel, much loved, I think, by people who are like cutting edge on the left-wing side of things. I like Jeux sans frontières, games without frontiers. And he never really lived up to that. My expectations after. I liked Biko, but Biko was a terrorist. Wake up and smell the coffee. He shouldn't have died in custody. I don't know what happened there. Probably wasn't a nice story behind it, but Biko and his buddies, they killed lots of people. That's what terrorists do, folks. Anyway, next one, speaking of terrorism, Cat Stevens. So he made a little joke. He's coming out in short hair and a beard, a trimmed kind of beard. And he used to be called Cat Stevens. I don't know why they call him Cat Stevens there, because his adopted name is Joey Surrender. Translated in Arabic, it's Yusuf Islam. Islam means surrender. It doesn't mean peace. You guys got that clear? It means submission or surrender. If you put a submission hold on someone, that's not peaceful. Okay? The Americans got something like submission in Afghanistan, their presence there was not peaceful. Huh? Pacification is derived from the Latin pax, which means peace. Pacification, for your information, doesn't mean peace. Might end up in peace. Oftentimes it doesn't. Pacification, attempted pacification, usually doesn't end up in peace, and it definitely, the means aren't peaceful. A pacifier is a peaceful kind of thing. You kind of plug a fake nipple into a kid's mouth and hope that shuts him up. That brings peace, hopefully. Yeah. And hopefully it's done peacefully. Here you go, Junior. It said wham!
Yeah, I don't think that would bring too much.
No. Parents who do that kind of stuff, well, I don't respect them that much. So, Yusuf Islam, guys converted this particular religion. Apparently, the story goes, he was he out swimming or something like that, and he decided to pray to a particular god, and he was saved. And he ascribes the saving to that particular god. I don't know. I wish he'd kind of keep it to himself. Anyway, when the Americans, I don't know if Joey Surrender, had much to say in 2001 when the Americans went into Afghanistan with an infinitude almost of justification. I don't know if he came out and was squawking peace train. The reviewers were dismissive of peace train back in the day. When was that? 1971 or something like that. One reviewer pointed out quite justly, one of the lines goes something about being able to have everyone in the world living together in one room. He was saying, man, oh man, he could have mentioned rats going at each other when they're confined in too small an area. But that was the basic gist of what the reviewer had to say. Cat Stevens always was dumb. With the capital letter not on the D, but on the B at the end. Dumb. Now, he didn't do the only song that really is worth anything in his oeuvre, and that's Moonshadow. It's kind of childlike. Cat Stevens, you look at his cartoons, some of his cartoons were on the covers of some of his albums.
Oh, really? Those were his?
Teaser and the Fire Cat.
Oh, that's nice.
T for the Tillerman. Yeah, I like T for the Tillerman. It had some of the characters.
I didn't know he drew those.
Yeah, he did.
Well, that's
so
really
very
great.
Childlike, you know what
That's
I'm saying.
Lovely.
But lovely enough. Ron Wood with many different groups. Rod Stewart, The Faces, Jeff Beck Group, latterly with the Rolling Stones. He went to art school, and he actually does good artwork. I prefer his stuff, for example, to Joni Mitchell. She went to art school too, just north here, a place called Calgary. They say you're 6 degrees removed or whatever from everyone. Well, we know a person in town here. He used to hang with Joni Mitchell.
He said he didn't really hang with her.
He said something like she'd make a comment about a painting or something like that.
Okay. But he said he didn't really hang with her.
Well, I mean, they weren't an item.
I think he said
like
she was
a little younger now.
She was in a different, like a different year or whatever.
Exactly.
So.
He would have seen her.
Yeah.
He said, when I asked her, it just occurred to me at the same time. I said, did you ever run across Joni Mitchell? He said, well, there was this girl, he said, called Joni Anderson. We'd get up, I think he said, every Friday in their hootenanny or whatever, and do a song or two. Yeah. Anyway, Joni Mitchell. But I prefer Ron Wood's work to Joni Mitchell's. Maybe even, who's that guy that started, he didn't start Eric Clapton, John Mayall. Better artwork. Or he wasn't that good. Anyway, Cat Stevens. He got inducted by Art Garfunkel. Art, what are you thinking of? You actually, I think he might have a master's or a PhD in mathematics. He's a smart guy.
Well, he wasn't very nice about Paul
Paul
Simon.
Simon,
I
yeah.
didn't like that.
Well, you know, Paul Simon and Art
Well, I
Garfunkel
realize
kind of
they
deserved each
don't
other.
get along anymore. It's very clear from.
I think it's the fault of both sides, but neither of them were anything like what they were when they were together. Some voices are just made to be married together. And the funny thing is, the group is like a kid. When you got kids, you got to stick with them. You know, I played soccer with guys I could not stand. And I've seen guys in that situation where they won't pass to each other. I'm going, I like winning. I don't care who I win with. I like winning. I'd pass to anyone. Adolf Hitler was on the team. I tried to make sure he got off the team. But while he was on the team, I'd pass the ball to Bozo if he had some skills. Anyway, here's Cat Stevens in the wake of 1989, Valentine's Day. I don't know how soon after. Rat Stevens is like, I made a joke about it. Maybe I could have been called Bat Stevens. No, get it straight, Rat Stevens. No, that's not his real name. Stevens isn't even his real name. He had some sort of
really?
a Greek name.
Oh, interesting.
Happened, or whatever. And so Salman Rushdie is about one of the most inoffensive guys that ever came down the pike. You know, I think he's kind of like a left winger. I don't think he's a big fan of colonialism. I don't think he's a big fan of capitalism.
I don't. I've read the Satanic Verses, and I read another one. What was the other one called? Can't remember.
Fury. What are some of the other ones?
What it was.
But Prince of Baghdad
I don't know
or something.
why I read another one after. But anyway, I thought, well, I'd better go through the Satanic Verses because
it's news.
It's So, and I didn't like it. I thought, why is this even popular, or whatever. And why would anybody care, to set up a fatwa on the guy or whatever they did?
Well, that's a contract, okay?
Yeah.
We're using an Arabic term for putting a religious contract out on someone. And
I just don't get it.
When you put a contract out on someone, you should be in jail. I think for life, because who's to say that contract's ever over? You've basically got a person in fear for their life. So, and the other thing is, when there's a contract put out on someone, I don't know what the law is, I know it should be. And someone puts a contract out on someone, well, I don't care if it's religious or not. It's done by the mafia, no difference. If you mention it approvingly, doesn't matter if it's on TV, internet, in a book, you should be in jail for a long time. Here's Cat Stevens in the wake of that. I don't know if it's David Frost, some sort of TV show, getting interviewed. And this is for the record. When you're on TV, you'd be kind of on your toes, even if you were sitting down, right? If you're getting interviewed. I would be. I'd be careful what I say. So if someone asked Joey Surrender what he thought of the fatwa, he said something to the effect, I'm not quoting it directly, I might get a lot of it wrong, some of it wrong. I think I'm going to get the gist. If a bunch of people were burning Salman Rushdie alive, Joey Surrender, i.e. Rat Stevens, would have been only too willing to bring some logs and at least give them to the people, if not throw them on the fire. Now, he's since backed off of that. And so he was, he said at least 4 times, I don't know, was he flashing the peace sign?
Yeah.
Flashing the peace sign. When Rat Stevens flashes that peace sign, I hope you people in England will forgive me for swearing in sign language. That's what he's flashing at you. He does not believe in peace. He believes in surrender. He's surrendered, and he believes in you surrendering, i.e. submitting to his religious system. That's his formula for peace. And that's not peace, okay? This is what he's saying to you when he's flashing this. And when he's saying peace, he's saying surrender. He's saying submit to the will of me and my buddies. Okay? Now, so here's his, he backed off. You know, he was saying, well, people say all sorts of things in the heat of the moment, or right? Wow. When you're on TV, you're on the tips of your toes. If you're not nervous about it, there's something wrong with you. And you kind of sit and think about what you're going to say. So what he said is, you know, something to the effect, in a democracy, or in our system, really he meant in a democracy, which he would not like. In the system, he would have been talking about England, presumably. This system here, it's not against the law, so I wouldn't do that sort of thing. You know, I'd be against someone burning.
Yeah.
But he said, where was the law, i.e., he's saying in Islamic Sharia law sort of thing, it would be perfectly fine. Okay, folks, and that's him, okay? Someone who talks that way about someone as inoffensive as Salman Rushdie, who's been, rock and roll's about freedom of speech. If it's about anything. You can't have it. This is like having a supporter of Hitler getting on, or a supporter of Joseph Stalin, and there would be a few in the rock and roll thing. Most of them would say they're Marxists or Leninists or stuff like that, or Trotskyite. But that's like having a supporter of Adolf Hitler getting up and saying peace, all that sort of stuff. Garbage. This should be revoked, and he actually should be censured. You know, like, what's that about?
Well, yeah, it's like somebody saying, oh, well, in this society, we don't put Jewish people into gas chambers. But, you know, if I was in a society where that was allowed, let me turn on the gas, you know, or whatever. It would, and that's a horrible thing to say, right? So
not what she's saying. What she's imagining a person saying.
Yes, that's a horrible thing to say.
I know a lot of people think she's saying a horrible thing, or I'm saying a horrible thing. But you guys who think that, hopefully it's one half brain of you folks out there, your moral compass is just way out of whack. I don't know if you've even got one. Yeah?
So, no, Cat Stevens, not a peaceful person.
Not at all.
Doesn't know anything
Doesn't
peace.
The whole idea with rock and roll
Understand
is being able to say what you want to say. Cuss words, whatever. Right? Peace Train. He does Peace Train. Wild World. You know, ooh, baby, baby. It's a wild world. I'll always remember you like a child girl. Wow. You know, like, I don't think that was addressed to a 10-year-old or something like that. I think he was talking about a woman maybe that kind of decided to leave him or something like that. And this was 1970, I believe, or 71 when he put out that song. And women's liberation had started to have a little bit more of an impact starting about 1970. Betty Friedan was quite a bit earlier than that. I'll always remember you